Hello, everybody. Warm welcome to everyone to the podcast and YouTube channels. Whether you are new, whether you've been watching for and listening for a long time, we are really happy to have you here. This is the channel where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads-on and emerge victorious. Our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And whether you are dealing with health challenges, professional setbacks, or personal struggles, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there is a path to hope and triumph. So join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity, reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So be prepared, everybody, to be inspired and to find the strength to navigate life challenges. I am your host, everybody. My name is Dr. Rani Thanacoody. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, a mouse business life and relationship coach, breathwork coach, astrologer, tarot reader, chakra practitioner, life force compassion practitioner, past life regression practitioner, and star magic practitioner. And today, I have the great pleasure to introduce you to a very special lady all the way from the States. Her name is Jahanvi Shah. Jahanvi is a conscious parenting coach. She is a mom of 2 kids, and she started her conscious parenting journey when her daughter was 2 years old. And growing up, she was modeled by authoritarian parenting style, and that was all that she knew. And Jahanvi holds an undergraduate degree in special education and a master's degree in technology and education. And she has worked with children all her life. Jahanvi, welcome to Amazing You.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rani. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to have you here to share with the audience. And can you share with us about when you decided to become a conscious parenting coach? Tell us more about that.
Yes. I'm truly excited about sharing my journey, just in the hopes that it would give hopes and courage to moms out there who may be struggling in their parenting journey or are challenged by their children's big emotions, or maybe if they're not listening, because that's number one complaint I hear from moms. But just to give perspective, as Dr. Rani said, my background was in education and special ed. I've always worked with kids. Kids have always gravitated towards me. I love kids. So I thought when I became pregnant with my first child, I remember telling my husband, I got this. I got this, honey. I know kids. I worked with them. They love me. I love them. We got this. And I remember when my daughter was around 2 years old, that's when I started hitting with a lot of power struggles with her. I found myself yelling a lot. A lot of things my children did used to trigger me a lot. And as a parent, I was feeling like I'm failing in spite of all this education and knowing, and and of course you bring in how you were parented, you bring that into the picture too when you become a parent. And my education, my experience, nothing was working. I was feeling like a failure. I had so much guilt and shame. And I remember at the end of the day, when my head would hit the pillow, I felt miserable as a parent, as a mom. And then there was this pivotal moment in my life that shifted everything for me and my family. And there was this one particular night, and I still remember very clearly. My daughter was in the bathtub. She was around 2 years old. My husband was out of country. I was juggling so many things. I was juggling jobs, pickups, drop-offs, emails, cooking, meals, bath times, putting her to bed, preparing lunches, snacks, dinners. On top of that, sleepless nights. I was completely sleep deprived. And I remember that night my daughter would not be compliant to whatever I needed her to do, because the way I was, raised, and I've seen in the culture and society that, children just do what you say. You know best. You are the elder. You've seen life more, and you know the best. And so I was always asking for compliance. And what I needed her to do, there was no compliance. So everything she did that night, I remember it triggered me. It triggered me big time. I was extremely frustrated, tired, exhausted. And I think I was emotional too, because I remember at that time, one of my colleagues must have said something at work, and I brought it at home. Instead of standing up for myself, because I didn't know how to do that back then, I probably ignored and just shoved down my feelings, my emotions under the carpet. So at that time, I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. So that night, when she was not being compliant, not a very proud moment, I remember flushing down the toilet my daughter's favorite bracelets that she got it from a firefighter, out of rage, out of anger. And I remember her face still, it just gives me chill every time I share this story. I saw her face just freeze, like she was frozen. She was confused. What's going on? I saw a little bit of fear. I saw a little bit of confusion, a little bit of grief in her eyes. And that was devastating. Like just in few seconds, I felt I went from anger to grief, like all these emotions. I just felt so heartbroken. Like, what did I just do? Like even telling it now, it's just such a yucky feeling inside me. And I think that some of us are like that, continually, because I had such a busy day, such a no help. I was probably running late for dinner, making burning dinner probably. No help. My husband was out of the country. So basically, all those conditions met the explosion. As I was looking at my child, trying to understand what she must be going through, trying to understand what I'm going through, and I remember this voice coming into the room and saying, "What are you doing, Jahanvi? This is not you, right? You have to do something." And I think that night was that pivotal point on my parenting journey. Like that was it for me. I told myself, that's it. I gotta stop this. I don't want to be that dominant parent and not have a relationship with my child as she grows. When I saw a future with her 5, 10, 20 years down the road, it gave me chills. I don't want to be that have that crappy relationship with her, because I couldn't deal with my own emotions productively, because I couldn't model it well to her. And I knew in that moment something had to change. And that's when I started looking for answers. I was like, there got to be a different way of parenting than what I know of. Because what I know doesn't feel good to me, doesn't feel good to my child. It's not connected. There got to be a different way. And, they say when you're looking for answers, universe, God, source, whatever you believe, they just put answers in your lap. And this conscious parenting came in front of me, and I haven't looked back. I devoured myself into it. I read all the books. I did, all the courses and everything. But I think I gained all that knowledge, but I couldn't embody it, because there was so much healing that needed that I wasn't even aware of that was needed. So I cognitively got everything that was on paper, but in the moment when my daughter would still throw tantrums, and I think by that time I had my son as well, my second child, like they would still trigger me. Like I think I got a little bit better, but they would still, like, all the knowledge went out the window. when they would throw a tantrum in a grocery aisle. And so there was such a deep healing journey that took place. And I think I reached out. I think I was too I guess too proud, or whatever you want to call it, to reach for help, right? Like I did all these courses and classes and reading of books, but they didn't tell me about my specific problems. They didn't, it was very generic, right? But till I worked with a coach, I couldn't. Like what I always say, when you're in the frame, you can see your own picture. So I couldn't see my own picture. And then when I worked with the coach, that's when things started happening. And I really felt like, gosh, this information I'm learning, it needs to be out there. I think every parent needs to know this. How can this not be out there? Like, I learned about the brain science and brain development and nervous system science. And, I think I was expecting my daughter to be 7, 8, 9, 10 years old when she was 2, because that was my expectation. That's what I knew. And when I learned all that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is not okay. And a lot of parents don't know about these things. And that's when, I'm going to make it short. I was going to be a health coach with my weight loss journey. I thought I meant to be that, but then I realized that, one pivotal day, I was like, this webinar came in front of me from a Giant Institute of Parenting, and I was like, "Gosh, I'm meant to be a parenting coach." I mean, like this, I shifted, and I remember writing a script with to talk to my husband, because I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And 1 week prior to that, he thinks I want to be a health coach, and today I want to be a parenting coach. But he really saw it in my eyes. He saw it, that how important this was. There was something different about me, within me, and I was like, this is my purpose. That day I found, like, it didn't take me a day to decide this is what I want to do. And I just enrolled into the program and I learned more. I got coached more, and I really got that certification and really started embodying more of this work. And then I was like, okay, yes, this information, I want to get it out there. And that's when I decided I want to be a coach, and I haven't looked back since then. And it's just been an amazing, beautiful journey. Shifted my parenting, shifted my marriage, my life, my whole career shifted, but it was all for good.
Wow, thank you so much, Jahanvi. I want to come back to some of the points you made, some of the great points you highlighted. That as a parent, you were having all those emotions, and when your child or your daughter was in front of you, all those emotions came up, and you said you went through a lot of healing. So how did you deal with those emotions? What were the healing that you went through? Because today, as we are talking and listening, I know there are so many women who are facing those kind of situations that you have experienced with your daughter, feeling all those emotions coming up, the confusion, the anger, and not knowing, just because that child did something, and can you share with us what is it that you did? Because so many parents don't know that it's nothing to do so much with the child, it's to do with them. So how did you deal with your emotions? What is that healing journey that you went through? Because those parents need to know so that they can look into themselves, not at their children. So please share with us.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you asked me that question, because, a lot of times I see in the parenting journey, and a lot of parents come to me saying that, Jahanvi, my child is not listening to me. Jahanvi, my child is not doing this and that. How do I make him or her do that? And I always say, okay, we gotta shift the mirrors. Yes, all those things that you're wanting, cooperation, listening, all that will happen. But something here needs to shift first. We need to look within us first before we can change anything else outside of us, whether it's marriage, parenting, anything for that matter. So in the beginning, one of the story I shared was, how I didn't know how to stand up for myself or how to deal with my emotions. One of the first thing I learned, and I think that was one of the hardest thing on my journey, is to feel it. Instead of shoving my feelings down and not just ignoring with either food or binge watching TV, or just ignore calling a friend, and I'm not saying all those things are not okay, but at some point in your healing journey, I've learned you need to heal it, feel it to heal it. That's one of the things my coach said, and I still remember, you gotta feel it to heal it. And when I faced those emotions, which was the hardest thing, that's when I started understanding more and more things. That's when I learned to process little by little those emotions instead of shoving them down. And now it's so great, Dr. Rani, there's just so many things out there, so many modalities. And, it's not that this is the best and this is not good. It's individual, person to person, what EFT may work for you, may not work for me. Somatic work may work for you, not the other person. Therapy may be good. So there's just so many modalities. That's awesome. And I think I have kind of dive into all of them, and with different aspects of my life and the healing I needed, different things has worked for me. So it's been a lot of it's been a journey where I have kind of put my foot on everything to figure out instead of being fearful. I think beginning of conscious parenting taught me it's okay. Like, it's not that I have to just dive into this one work like I did, but then when I felt like, okay, I think I need something else for this other healing that needs to take place, that's a trigger for me, and it works. So I think that's number one thing was to, feel it to heal it. The secondary thing was, it's about understanding where these triggers are coming from. Like, for me, I don't think it's necessary for every person to know. I think in the beginning of our conversation before we recorded, we were talking about how uh, it's important to. I think I lost track of my thoughts. Sorry. Uh, okay, I'll come back to me. But it's really understanding where your childhood, what came up, for you in your childhood. And I always thought, I had a great childhood, and I did, overall, I had food, shelter, I had love, all that. But the things that I learned in my conscious parenting journey about when my child is doing this and it's triggering me, when my husband is doing this and it's triggering me, it's like the old stories are knocking on your door, and it's kind of giving you a message like there is some leftover story back there. That's why this keeps coming up, keeps triggering you. And when I learned to feel my feelings and process them, I learned to look back and try to make a connection, like where is this story coming from? And I think I'm such a logical person, so it helped me understand where something is coming from. And then it shifted. Like, I'll give you a quick example. Like, it was a huge trigger for me when my daughter didn't put away shoes and socks and her bag in place, like growing up. So when I learned, like, it's funny, one of the exercises we had to do in conscious parenting journey is understanding our values. And at that time, I put down cleanliness was one of my values. Now, growing up, yes, we had my mom was very, very much into, cleanliness, and, really into everything has to be meticulous and everything. So that, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I learned that value is coming from my parents. It's not my value. So when I'm expecting something from my daughter to keep my house clean, it's coming from somewhere else. It's not authentic. So there was so much pressure on me, so much pressure on her. So when I understood that, hey, this is not my value. Yes, I like a clean house, but I have some, leeway here too. We can work with this, like it still bothers me when shoes are not put away. But it's now that I understood it's not my value. I want my clean house clean, but it's not my primary value, it's just easier for me. It's less pressure on me and less pressure on my kiddos. And when the pressure is taken off, automatically there's going to be cooperation. Like I'm coming from, hey, this is our house. We treat it like a temple. And, we keep our shoes out, where we have a designated place for it. And there's a reason for it. Like there's, because kids go with logic too. They want explanation. Like, why are we doing this? Not just because mom said so, but there is a reason. There's a value behind it. And yes, cleanliness is a value. However, it's coming from so much more understanding and authenticity now than before. So now, before shoes were not put away, there was a lot of screaming, yelling, consequences taking place. Whereas now in my household, when shoes are mostly put away now, because it's a teamwork. Like it's coming from it's a teamwork. It takes all of us to keep this place clean and tidy. It doesn't have to be spectacular, but we need some sort of an order that's the expectation. So it's just shifts so much within you when you learn about it. So feeling and then looking at your old story, how what brought you to this point and all your belief systems. So healing all those helped me, of course, gaining all this knowledge about nervous system, understanding my internal world helped me so much, not just feelings, but biological cues. Hey, when I get triggered, my body, the temperature rises up. I'm feeling sweaty. My throat chokes up. Like understanding my biological cues when things happen in order for me to shift in the moment instead of going directly to yelling when my child does something when I'm triggered. I'm able to pause now and look at my cues and like why this is going from 0 to 100. And so there's so much things combined to get taking place, like journal writing, like understanding, hey, this morning when I got triggered, my child did this. Why? What came up for me? Yes, my body cues were such. Did I needed food? Did I needed sleep? Did I need it? What was my need that was missing here? Because a lot of times our triggers, our children's tantrums are mostly it's a lack of a need. There is a need that's not being met. And when we recognize this for ourselves and our children, it's such a smoother ride. Like, okay, no wonder he's throwing a tantrum. He's hungry. He hasn't eaten anything. Or he didn't sleep well last night. Or, hey, I haven't been able to connect with my child. I totally miss out that. Oh, okay. You need some connection time because your child is not going to come and tell you, hey, mom, I need connection. That's what I'm lacking. Come and give me the connection and then I'll be golden. But it's understanding, I have a root to bloom process in my coaching program where we go from, root to bloom. Like we look at, your feelings and needs and, all those processes and come to a solution that how, now how can we help our child bloom when we understand, the bottom down to up process. So I know there's so much I can say, but if I'm going to pause here, if you have any comment or feedback.
Thank you, Jahanvi. You say so many valuable points, great things. And when you talk about conscious parenting, I have seen that among so many women, when they start to work on themselves, they start to look at what are their own triggers, they can transform not only their lives, the life of their children, the life with the relationship with their partners. It is incredible when we start to heal those inner wounds, those triggers that are not ours, the belief that we've been holding. And I have seen that with parents, and I would like to ask you that question to help those parents, those mothers, because so many mothers are working nowadays. They work very long hours and they have very little time to connect with their children. They give everything. They give all the material, but the only thing that they give very little is their time to listen to the child. So, and which is very, very important because the child need to feel loved, need to feel understood, need to feel safe, need to feel cared for, need to feel that the adult, the carer, value them, that they are loved for who they are and accepted for who they are, But it's only when we look at ourselves and do that work. What would you say if you have parents who are listening to us, who have done a little bit of work, very little bit of healing on themselves and seen the transformation, but do not want or resistant to keep working on themselves, and they are still going through these traditional patterns and still not really giving children the attention that they need? What would you tell those parents today?
I think there is one tool, one of the first tools I teach inside my coaching programs is active listening and reflective listening. So I think that one with practice, I wouldn't say I'm completely healed. I'm still in the process of healing. It's going to be an ongoing journey. But, I think this one tool, it has helped, as you said, when any human being is heard, that's sometimes, I feel like 90% of the time, that's all we need. We just want to be heard. We don't want any solution. We don't want any advices. We just want to be heard, wholeheartedly. So I think this one tool, and I combine it with a connection, one-on-one connection time with your child. Like I tell my clients to have a designated one-on-one time with your child every single day, even if it's 5 minutes. I mean, you should have at least 5 minutes for your child where the phone is put away, the emails are put away, and the focus is only on your child. And giving them that undivided attention for 5-10 minutes, and if you have multiple kids, individual time with each child is so crucial. You're going to thank me for this. Just give this a try. Even if you are a little reluctant to it, give this a try. This is like a golden parenting advice you'll ever get. That just give your child every single day, each individual child, 10 minutes a day, where it's fully attentive. You're fully attentive. Active listening. So active listening is like, you're fully hearing. Not only that, but you are not, a lot of times what happens as parents, because we mean well and we want the best for our kids, we don't want to see them hurting. So if we're hearing something that we feel like, old stories comes up, and we're going in advising mode, and we're going into like, hey, here's the solution. I always give this marriage example that, hey, when usually wife goes to a husband, they want to be heard. They just want to be heard. And usually it's men's tendency to give advices because they're solution oriented and they want to advise. And this happened with my husband too in the beginning of our marriage, that I would go to just went and I'm getting so many advices. And at that time I didn't understood what am I actually needing here? I don't want advice. I just want him to hear. And then I was able to verbally communicate with him, hey, I'm not looking for advice. I just want to be heard. Do you have 10 minutes? And now it's hard for him to resist us to give that advice, but he's learned. So we were able to communicate that now. So when you're giving those 10 minutes a day to your child, let them talk it all out. Yes, you will have time to do advice and problem solving, but not in that moment. In that moment, you're just actively listening to your child. And I kid you not, you're going to not have so many less tantrums, so many less big emotions, because the child feels heard, seen, valued. And that's all a lot of the times child is needing. Most of us are needing. Even try this in your marriage too, in fact. So active listening, and then there is reflective listening. So when would somebody really feel heard? When you reflect back what they have just told you without adding your own words, but in their exact words. When you reflect back, so I'll give you an example. The other day my child was sharing something with me, and once she was done talking, I said, hey, Sanvi, so I just want to make sure I heard this correct. So, is this what you said to me? Is that right? This is how you're feeling. This is what happened. Did I get this right? So, she feels like, oh, yes, I'm genuinely interested and I'm reflecting back to what she said. So, there is also sensory related stuff happening here too. You're talking, right? Like my child was talking, so her vocal was being used, her throat chakra was being used, and then she is hearing what she just what I just heard her say. So her she's listening, she's looking at me, right? So her vision is being used, like, because I'm being very expressive as I'm talking to, and my body language, is very, very easy for her to understand, my facial expressions. So all these sensory, I know these are little things, but it makes so much sense, and it makes it so much easier to have that bond, right? Like, it sucks when you're talking to your husband and he's on the phone and he's just scrolling as he's answering you, right? You don't feel connection. There's lack of connection there, because all your sensory, there's a reason why we have all these sensory stuff. And when all gets involved as much as possible, you feel that connection between those two people, whether it's parent and child, or husband and wife, or friend and friend, whatever, right? So active listening and reflective listening, I think, even if you're reluctant to healing further, doing more work, and it's your journey, you're going to get there when you were meant to get there, so, but these two tools implemented today, with the one-on-one connection with your child, you're going to thank me for this.
Huge thank you, Jahanvi, for sharing those tools, because we forget so often how important it is to listen, not only to others, but to listen to ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, to listen to our feelings, And once we learn to do that with ourselves, then we can do that with others, with our children, with our partners, because in every session I had with clients, they tell me things that they've never told anybody, because nobody was there to listen to them. And that's what a lot of therapy we do. We listen to the clients. We give them that safe space that they can express. And I can say myself, on my healing journey, in those sessions, I have shared things I've never told to people for more than 40 years. So those sessions are really good for you to let go, to release what is inside of you, those feelings, those emotions, and to have somebody who is just there for you, compassionately listening to you. And that is enough to help in the healing,
Totally.
That is incredibly powerful in healing. Whether it's a relationship, like I am a Mars Venus coach, and where we learn the Venus talk, where the husband would listen to the wife for 5 minutes, she would talk, but he would not give any solution, because the woman wants to be supported, to be heard, it's a way for her to connect with her husband. And that's why it's so important. That's why the Creator has given us 2 ears, Otherwise, we would have 1 ear, but 2 ears, it's for a purpose. So, yes. So thank you, Jahanvi, for sharing that. And I really hope that parents, even though they didn't have a great childhood themselves, but it's never too late to give their children, a different life by listening, by taking the time, connect with your children, like you said. Giving that 5-minute quality time is so important in that world where we live, where we are so connected to technology, But that human contact, human bonding time heals everything. Yeah.
And also, to just add on, it's never too late for sure, and whenever I think parents hear anything about conscious parenting, I think there's so much guilt that comes up. So if you are somebody who's listening to this for the first time, and you're feeling so much guilt for, whatever damage may have taken place, even if you have adult children, it's still never too late. Now, I work with some parents who have kids as big as me, and they have healed their relationship with their children. And it's just so beautiful. It's never too late. It may take a longer process because you are the one who has to do most of the work, but it's definitely possible. But you just need an intention and just a curious mind and an open mind, and just go for it. Don't sit there. If you, after hearing me and Dr. Rani, if you feel it in your heart, like something needs to shift within, parenting, marriage, life, career, anything, I would say take that first step. Get help, go reach out to whoever you resonate with, but don't sit there. Reach out, you need somebody. I feel like your journey could be much more faster when you get somebody. I wouldn't say a guru or expert, but somebody who's walked maybe 10 steps further than you, who has gone through what you are maybe going through today. So reach out to who you resonate and start your healing journey.
Yes, I think it's so important that it's never too late to change, because we are on that journey of continuously learning about ourselves. That's why we are here, to learn, grow, to evolve, and to become a better version of ourselves each day. For ourselves, but for the people. Because when we are a better version of ourselves each day, we can be even better for the people around us. We can serve them better. We can love them better, more deeply, more understanding. So thank you so much, Jahanvi, for all those very wise and very helpful tips you gave everybody. So looking back at your journey, what would you tell Jahanvi, your younger self, who was struggling with parenting?
My younger self who's struggling with parenting? You mean when I was, first became a parent?
Yes, when you look back at that little child who was, what would you tell that part of you who was a few years young, a few years ago? What would you tell that you who was struggling? What would you tell her?
Yeah, no, I think it's my journey. And as I was telling you last night, I shared with my daughter about this pivotal moment in my life that involved her. It was my journey. I do not have any regrets because this is how I was meant to come where I am today. And all my experiences, good, bad, ugly, it was all part of me, part of my journey. And I was meant to go through it in its own time that it's meant to be. So I don't think I would have been here today, sitting here talking with you about my conscious parenting journey if it wasn't for all those experiences. So, as I was telling my daughter about this incident, how harsh I was to her that day, that night, I was also telling her that I'm in a way grateful for that moment because that made me conscious today. So, it was a teaching moment too, that I was telling you, in life, you're gonna go through some experiences where it's not gonna be pretty. It's in the moment you're going to question yourself, question people around you, that why this is happening. And please know there is some purpose. I truly believe that there is some purpose, some reason behind it with the experiences that we go through in life. Yes, in the moment it feels like, because you go through, you interview so many amazing people who's gone through all those hustle and bustle of life, and I don't think without those ugliness of part of that life wouldn't have brought them where they are today. So I really honor all those experiences, and I'm grateful for those experiences, all of them, that has brought me here today. And whoever is going through any hardship in life, parenting today, I just want to tell them that, hey, this is going to pass too. This is going to pass too. There is a reason why you're going through this, because there is a better tomorrow. So just hang in there, get help, and you're going to get there.
So in challenging times, Jahanvi, what personal mantra or philosophy do you rely on to stay resilient and focused?
I think one of the things, I think when there were setbacks is when we kind of, when life is happy and great and we don't think about anything, right? But I think one of my biggest mantra has been if something of not what I wanted happens in my life, I always tell myself, hey, if not this, something better is coming. Because my plan, like universe's plan is better than my plan. So if this didn't happen, because I thought it would be amazing to happen, doesn't mean, worst is coming. Something better is coming if this didn't happen. So I think that's one of my biggest mantra. And I tell them to my kids, like, the other day we wanted to go to a restaurant, all four of us, I think it was some occasion, I can't remember. And that if we were so all excited that, oh, we finally will get to this restaurant we always wanted to go to. And it turned out it was closed that day. And we were, of course, initial reaction was disappointment. But then I was like, hey guys, if not this, something better. Maybe we'll find a better restaurant. And that's exactly what happened. We found even a better, amazing restaurant that we still think about and we still, go to visit it. So in littlest thing to biggest thing, it's so true.
Yeah, that is so true. Thank you. Yeah. And can you share with us, Jahanvi, what projects or initiatives you are currently working on, and how can people stay updated or get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I have a private Facebook group called Conscious Parenting for Moms. I also have Instagram called Authentically Parenting, and my website is also authenticallyparenting.com. And I'm going through. I take one-on-one clients, but very limited because when I devote my time with a one-on-one client, I go all in. So I take limited clients with one-on-one, but I do have group coaching, and I also have like a DIY course, which this course has shifted so many moms' life, and I understand not everyone can afford coaching. And for that reason, I have also provided that option where they get to work on this course on their own. And I just don't have it in me yet to just kind of like, here is the course, good luck. So I'm also including 3 group coaching calls. So that can be used within the 6 month of time. So like you go through a course, if you have any questions, you can bring it to those 3 calls. So you could still get some level of support from me. So if you're somebody, who is thinking about starting your conscious parenting journey, then definitely, and can afford, if you can afford, I have many, many different options, but these are mainly 3 options right now I'm doing. And, if do it yourself option seems like the right fit for you, go for it. You still get 3 coaching calls from me to support you through your journey. But don't stop, don't stop. And I also have a lot of free stuff out there, guys, on my Facebook and Instagram. So you're going to still gain so much out of my free resources out there. So definitely check them out.
Thank you so much, Jahanvi. We'll put your links below and people can reach out to you. I think you are doing something amazing for parents because a lot of parents, they didn't have the right upbringing. Our family did the best they knew with what they had, but it wasn't always helpful to us, and we had to suppress so much as children because we came from a generation that experienced so much trauma that never knew how to deal with their emotions. But we are the generation that now there is so much opportunities to heal ourselves, to feel our emotions, and to help the future generations so that they can be free from all these traumatic experiences and live a better life, a more happy, a more abundant life for their future.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, what final words would you like to share to the audience today?
I would love to tell any moms or parents out there who is challenged by their children right now, little daily things. little things, teenage stuff, big stuff, little kids, little stuff, whatever challenging stuff you're going through, just hear this with an open heart and curiosity that once you're going to shift stuff within you, you're going to get the cooperation from your children. You are going to get it. It's just like we are not coming from our authentic self in our parenting, and that's why it doesn't feel authentic to these children. These children they're clean slate. They're their true authentic self. And it's very important for us as parents to not mold them the way we want to mold them, but to understand this human being has come to this earth for a purpose. You may be a doctor, but they're maybe not meant to be a doctor. They have a different purpose in life. And as a parent, we need to be that guide to help them figure out what is their purpose so they can get on that bandwagon quicker than later. Like I got on my bandwagon much, much, much later in life. It doesn't have to be for your children. If you heal yourself, if you break those generational patterns, it can start with your children from the get-go. And these generational patterns doesn't have to be passed down. So it's my humble request that please just don't stay stuck. Reach out, get help, and see your child. Be authentic and see your child authentically. Thank you so much. I hope you got something out of today.
Thank you for these beautiful final words, beautiful message to all those parents out there. And this is the end. We are coming to the end, Jahanvi, of the podcast. I would like to say a huge thank you to you for taking your time.
Thank you.
Really, really grateful for you to share your wisdom, your experiences. And I wish you a lot of success in everything that you do. And I would like to tell the audience as well, remember that you are amazing. You have always been, and you will always be amazing, everybody. And thank you all for watching, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you all very soon with another great, wonderful guest. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.